Hi, I'm Kristen Oakes White. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. My partner Avery Davidson will be joining us a little bit later in the show. When the flooding devastated North Louisiana back in March, the Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Committee formed the Hay Clearinghouse. This summer, the floodwaters returned, hitting South Louisiana and impacting the very ranchers who were so quick to send hay north only a few months ago. Farmers and ranchers in North Louisiana now get to return the favor, sending relief back to South Louisiana. TWILA's Carl Wiggers has the story.
With the creation of the Hay Clearinghouse, Louisiana Farm Bureau's network of farmers and ranchers became the conduit to deliver relief to ranchers during disaster. Instrumental in that relief is Adam Cahern, who owns and operates Precision Baling in Caddo Parish.
Whenever we heard about all the people that need help down there, the first thought was, is this clearinghouse going to get started up again? And that's whenever I started making phone calls trying to find out if there was going to be the same need to ship hay south as what it was whenever we shipped it over to Monroe back in the spring. So I talked with Marty Woolridge, and he was telling me about how there was a need for square bales.
Cahern specializes in square bales, which are more ideal for the horses and cattle in South Louisiana. They are easier to handle and better serve the need for those who have only a few horses or a few dozen head of cattle. Chairman of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Committee, Marty Woolridge, has been a busy man with the donations coming in from across the country. He and Cahern worked together to get those square bales to the wet South.
Had to round up a lot more square hay. That was kind of a hard commodity, but we've been able to do that. Some donated, some being bought with donated funds. People that have been generous enough to give us money, we were able to use their money and buy square hay and have it trucked.
This would not have been possible without the help from some major donations that came in to the Hay Clearinghouse. GreaterGood.org gave a generous donation to help buy hay, and Red River Trailer donated the use of this trailer to haul that hay.
We determined that the best way to handle that was to send down a 53-foot dry van semi-load. We were able to set it up down there on location in Clinton, Louisiana at Amelia Kent's farm, and they're distributing it from there.
I strongly suspect that of the 580 bales that originated in the van trailer, we're at 530 now. I suspect between now and Saturday we'll deplenish that.
Amelia Kent raises cattle and hay on 1,100 acres in East Feliciana Parish.
Yeah, absolutely.
She has used her land to stage hay for many in the Baton Rouge area in need of hay. The Livestock Committee has helped move close to 1,000 round bales and more than 2,000 square bales into South Louisiana. With these numbers, Woolridge is very pleased with the relief that the Hay Clearinghouse has offered.
Our goal through the Hay Clearinghouse is to assist in the emergency time, and then the couple of weeks afterwards we know that we're going to be there helping people feed their cattle while they're still displaced or pinned up. But we are also going to help them with the contacts that we build through the Hay Clearinghouse. We're going to help them try to find their hay that they may need for the wintertime too.
In the aftermath of the historic flooding that struck Louisiana not once but twice this year, farmers have proven themselves to be resilient and unified in a time of need.
In farming, it's a little bit different. It takes a whole group of people to be able to succeed in this industry.
The community within Louisiana's farmers coming together to essentially give you the shirt off of their back if it means to help you in the short run because you're in a bind. That's been phenomenal. We have members from throughout the state, and we've got a phone network, social media, and instantaneously people know of our other members' needs.
Unbelievable thing to be part of such a great organization that truly works for the betterment of their members, and in a time of need. We're an organization that's we're there working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. The organization runs just like our farm does. We're all used to working those kind of hours, and that's the way our organization runs. It's there to help our members and take care of our members in this time of need.
This summer, the Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Committee's Hay Clearinghouse has coordinated around the same amount of hay as they did back in the spring. The big difference has been the greater need for square bales in the more urban South Louisiana, and they've been able to meet that need. Kristen?
I know that was one of the things we talked about last week, was that they needed square bales, but they need a lot of other things too that they just didn't need that first go around, right?
Yeah, you're right. The hay is the most pressing need that cattle producers face, but not the only one. We mentioned last week the huge donations that are coming in from across the country. One of those arrived this week. Quality Liquid Feed in Wisconsin delivered more than 400 protein tubs to Lafayette and Donaldsonville. In this delivery is a donation worth more than $15,000 in the tubs and transportation. LFBF Livestock Committee member Dan Safford says this is huge for cattle in the wake of this flood.
I know in Ascension Parish we had over 30 truckloads of cattle that left out of the parish to find higher ground. They're coming back home, going in these pastures that are flooded and there's nothing out there. A lot of these farmers had hay that went underwater. Some of the hay floated off. Some of it didn't float off, but it had 2 foot of water on it, 3 foot of water on it, 4 foot of water on it, so there's no quality whatsoever left of it, you know. So these tubs are truly a blessing, nutrients, vitamins, and energy and whatnot that comes forth from that.
Safford says the 104 tubs that were delivered to his place won't last long because of the great demand in his area. If you still need hay, or if you have hay to donate or can transport some hay, visit our website at twilatv.org to learn more about the Hay Clearinghouse in Kristen. We've seen it in the spring, we're seeing it now. Farmers are helping farmers, and that's been one of the neatest things to be able to see and to be a part of.
It's been awesome to watch, and the Hay Clearinghouse has been something that I think it's not going to go away anytime soon. It's a lasting program. Hopefully, knock on wood, we won't need it that often.
Not for a while, hopefully.
Hopefully so. So Carl Wiggers, great story. Well, Governor John Bel Edwards estimates the damage from the flooding in August will exceed $8.7 billion. Included in that figure are about 30 state roads washed out by the flood and 1,400 bridges the Department of Transportation and Development must inspect. In a letter to President Barack Obama, Edwards asked for $2 billion in federal aid for housing, economic development, and infrastructure. Louisiana's 5th District Congressman Ralph Abraham is among the state's delegation working to make sure Louisiana is not forgotten at the nation's capital.
In the short term, we'll be back in session next week, and we will maybe pass one more approach bill if we get together and actually do that. But we know we're going to have an omnibus, and what I anticipate and what I will push for is that we will incorporate this package of money for homeowners, agriculture into the omnibus. So this could happen very quickly. Now, we may have to separate agriculture out and do something separate for it. That's fine, I don't care. As long as we get the federal funding that the homeowners, the businesses, and especially the farmers need.
While this latest flood impacted South Louisiana, there are farmers, ranchers, and residents still reeling from a flood event in March which impacted North Louisiana. Louisiana's congressional delegation is working on a bill that would provide aid for both of these flood events. Well, still to come on TWILA, we get down and dirty with rice in this edition of Feasting on Agriculture. But first, how you can celebrate National Rice Month online. It's trending on TWILA up next. Stay with us. Now it's time for this week's Trending on TWILA segment, where we go online to see what people are saying about agriculture on social media. September is National Rice Month, and restaurants, food companies, and ag organizations are showing their support all across social media. Each day during September, USA Rice posts a different rice fact to remind all of their followers that September is Rice Month. Like this Facebook post, Happy Labor Day. Keep in mind all of our U.S. farmers who work in acres, not hours, especially our rice farmers in Arkansas, California, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, and Texas. P.F. Chang's tweeted, "You can't wear white after Labor Day, but you can eat 100% U.S. grown white rice." For every sushi roll sold during Rice Month, P.F. Chang's will also donate a bowl of rice to a family in need. Rayleigh's Supermarkets tweeted, "Did you know that nearly 85% of the rice we eat in the USA is grown by American rice farmers? Support local." Ducks Unlimited posted this photo reminding their followers to eat U.S. grown rice to support wildlife, conservation, and the American farmer. As harvest season continues across Louisiana, most of our farmers are working hard to get their crops out of the field. Fela Gaydon posted this awesome photo of her husband harvesting soybeans with the caption, "Happy Labor Day." Whitney Bradford Arthur posted an adorable picture of her baby girl harvesting rice with her daddy this weekend. We also stumbled upon this great article posted by the Pinky Post blog about the importance of harvest meals during this time of year. Check it out on our website, twilatv.org. twilatv.org to read the article there. And don't forget, we want to see all of your photos and videos while you're in the field harvesting this season. Share your harvest photos with the hashtag TWILAHarvest for a chance to win a special TWILA prize pack and to have your photo aired on our show. Now moving on to this week's TWILA trivia. Last time I asked you, according to the USDA, 29% of the U.S. corn crop goes into making which product? And the correct answer is C, ethanol. This week's trivia question is, traditionally rice is thrown during weddings to symbolize what? Is it A, fertility, B, bliss, or C, health? To enter this week's trending trivia contest, simply log on to your Facebook or Twitter account and post your answer with the hashtag TWILATrivia, or you can always submit your answer on our website at twilatv.org. Well, if you're talking about feasting on agriculture in Louisiana, you can pretty much bet that rice is on the plate. That's the case in this edition of Feasting on Agriculture, where TWILA's AJ Sabine takes us to New Orleans to meet a chef who once worked with the world-famous Paul Prudhomme.
Feasting on Agriculture with AJ Sabine is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Hey there folks, I'm AJ Sabine and welcome to another exciting edition of Feasting on Agriculture. We're in front of Brightson's Restaurant here in the Riverbend community of New Orleans, my hometown. This month we'll show you how to make the absolutely best dirty rice you've ever tasted. Let's go inside. We're in the kitchen of Bryson Restaurant here on Dante Street. Joining us now, of course, Frank Bryston. What are we making today, Chef?
Well, today, AJ, we're going to make one of the most popular dishes at Bryson's Restaurant, roast duck with dirty rice and a tart dried cherry sauce.
Outstanding, because if you're in New Orleans, you don't want clean rice, you want dirty rice, am I right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, there's so many wonderful traditional classic dishes in Louisiana cuisine, and they're classics for a reason. And I think dirty rice is one of the best.
All right, let's get started. I see you got a cast iron pan here.
Cast iron skillet. We're going to make our dirty rice. We do it always in cast iron. And I happen to have some duck fat.
Oh, shame on you. This is already starting good.
I know.
So, this is going to be great.
And for my dirty rice, I use ground beef to start.
Why did you choose the beef instead of a pork or a gizzard like my grandmother used to start with?
Well, that's a good point, because traditional dirty rice is meant to use the gizzards and the livers from the poultry, whatever it might be. We're going to brown this meat hard, as we say.
All right.
In this duck fat. In cooking, color is flavor, and brown is the color of flavor.
There you go.
So we want to brown this meat. I'm on high heat. You can see it's already starting to get almost crispy on the edges, which is what I'm looking for. This meat is pretty well brown now. As you can see, we have some nice crispy edges on it. And so we're going to go into the next phase, which is going to be our aromatic vegetables. We're using onion, celery, and bell pepper, and also a bay leaf.
How much of a time saver, I mean, it's apparent by your mise en place, but how much is a time saver to do all this prep work in advance before the first bit of protein hits the fire?
Oh, I think it's the best way to cook, you know, and like I say, at home, you know, life is kind of a free-flowing enterprise, and sometimes you'll get distracted, doorbell rings, the dog needs to go out. If you can get all this done first, you can concentrate on the recipe and get into the rhythm and flow of the dish.
Chef, you've been doing this for 30 years. You've worked with some of the best chefs in the business, including the late Paul Prudhomme. What has been the most inspirational thing that you've learned about Louisiana cooking and rice and using agricultural ingredients grown right here in the Pelican State and incorporating those into your menu here at Bryson?
Great question, and I couldn't have asked for a better mentor, because Paul Prudhomme grew up in the Opelousas area on a farm. His dad was a sharecropper, and his mom, Mrs. Prudhomme, had to cook 3 meals a day for her family with 13 children.
Oh my goodness.
So that tells me that she had to be a very resourceful cook and utilize what's fresh in the field. So This is farm to table long before we had a name for it. I'm listening to my vegetables, AJ. I can hear them.
What does that mean, Frank? What does that mean? You're listening to them.
All the senses come into play when you cook. You notice I haven't been stirring.
No, you haven't. We've been talking. That's true.
And that's deliberate because the vegetables have a lot of water or moisture in them. So I'm letting that water steam away, and as they dry out, they'll start to squeak a little louder, and they'll say, Frank, stir me. So I'm gonna give them a little stir. And I can see it's starting to stick on the bottom of the pot, which is good. I'm now gonna lower the heat a little bit, and I'm gonna add just a touch of minced fresh garlic. You have to be gentle with garlic so you don't burn it. It just takes a minute or two to lend its flavor to the dish. I'm gonna do something that's a little unusual for dirty rice. Okay. I'm gonna add some peeled, diced eggplant.
First time I've ever heard of that. Why? Why, Chef?
So stick with this one. And in late summer, mid to late summer, you'll find locally grown eggplant in the farmers markets, in your grocery, and you want to take advantage of that, and you can find different ways to enjoy it. And this is an unusual ingredient in dirty rice, but this is my reasoning. And I learned this from a great chef I worked with at Cape Hall named George Rose.
Okay.
What happens is this eggplant will cook down, and get mushy, almost creamy.
Okay.
It's going to disappear. And what it does is that creamy eggplant helps the rice, the seasoned meat mixture coat the rice.
Okay.
So it adds a nice texture to it.
I had never heard of that before.
It's very unusual, but if you haven't tried it, give it a try. Trust me on that.
After a puree of chicken liver, duck stock is added. Now it's time for the star ingredient.
It's time for the rice. This mixture's coming to the boil, and I'm gonna add 1 cup of Louisiana grown aromatic rice. Now, I love popcorn rice, any of the aromatic rice, the jasmine type rices. They have so much flavor. Rice should not be an afterthought.
No, sir. Not in Louisiana.
If you make red beans and rice, for instance, and you put all that hard work and love into a big hearty pot of red beans, don't serve it with bland, mushy rice. Take the time to learn how to cook it properly, and I'm gonna help you with that.
Thank you, Chef.
As this mixture is boiling, I'm gonna stir in the raw rice. That's a cup.
Did you know, Chef, that there is a aromatic or jasmine rice grown here in Louisiana called Jasmine?
That's the brand we use at Brightson's restaurant.
All right. All right.
Now, this mixture has come back to the boil. I'm now going to turn it to very, very low, as low as I can get it, and we're going to cover the pot.
Well, great, Chef. Well, while you got that covered, when we come back, folks, we're going to show you how this wonderful dish, the dirty rice and duck, comes out when we return. Stick around. We'll be right back.
After a quick saute of julienne carrots, Napa cabbage, yellow squash, and blanched green beans, this dish is almost ready to plate up.
And these just need to warm up a little bit.
A 1998 James Beard Award winner, Chef Brightson loves to share his love and knowledge of Louisiana cuisine.
It's been around well over 200 years. It's still evolving, still developing, and I'm proud to be a small part of it. But I believe in sharing that, and so I teach off and on at Nicholls State at the John Close Culinary Institute, and I teach off and on at NOCA here in New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts, so that I can pass on what I was given from Chef Paul.
You're actually teaching, and as a member of your staff, my brother from another mother, Greg Dawson, actually works for you.
Oh yeah, Greg's one of my favorite people in the whole world, and we met at Nicholls State when he was a student there. He was in my class. And he came to work for us once he got finished with school, and he's been here ever since. And we just love being with Greg, and he loves what he does. He's got that passion, the willingness to make people happy no matter what it takes, and he works hard at it.
Chef, I gotta try this duck.
I agree. You have to try this duck.
It looks beautiful. It's so pretty. I don't want to eat it. I just want to have a canvas and some oil with a nice glass of wine and paint it.
Well, you know, this is one of those dishes on our menu that I call a craver. When people think of our roast duck, they come in specifically for that, you know, and so we always have it on the menu, always with dirty rice, and we change the sauce seasonally, you know, cherry sauce during the warmer months, and we'll have that Louisiana navel orange sauce in the cooler months.
I bet you that's fantastic. I'm gonna try a little bit of the duck with the rice.
I'm just gonna take this crispy corner here.
Well, you know, you told me about getting the corners because it's all crispy with that
right.
fancy word you use that I can't remember. But
Right.
Anyway, I'm gonna try this with some of the rice. And I wanna, again, thank you and your staff for hosting us for this month's
Oh,
Feasting
it's our
on
pleasure.
Agriculture. And the pièce de résistance. You know, you're right. The cherry sauce hits that background and just brings it all together. And of course, the skin is absolutely crispy and fantastic. So, Chef, tell us, where can folks go if they want to find out more about your restaurant, if they want to make a reservation or catch one of your classes?
Well, sure. We can offer you our website, which is brightson.com. The hard part is spelling Brightson, B-R-I-G-T-S-E-N. But brightsons.com, you can learn a lot about us. The telephone number for reservations is 504-861-7610. And give us a call. We do dinner only. We're closed Sundays and Mondays.
Well, I mean, folks can't see this on camera, but you're actually, the restaurant is housed in a beautiful New Orleans home, as I like to say. It's really, really gorgeous.
That's right, and it's one of the reasons I chose this spot, because as soon as I opened the front door, it felt like New Orleans, you know, and it was the size restaurant I wanted. We seat about 65. And we're in an old house in the Riverbend neighborhood of Uptown, where Carrollton and St. Charles meet the river. This building's about 150 years old.
Wow. Lots of history, lots of flavor, and nothing like this particular dish, and nothing like Louisiana rice with this beautiful, beautiful duck. It has indeed been a pleasure. Thank you again, Chef Frank Bryson here at Bryson's Restaurant in the lovely Riverbend community of New Orleans. That's all from here, folks. We'll see you next time.
Feasting on Agriculture with A.J. Sabine was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, Ask Before You Eat, by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, Think Rice, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
There is no one clear definition of sustainability, but for farmers and ranchers, the definition is simple: to be able to pass the farm on to the next generation. That was the message of this panel of agriculture experts at the recent Global Sustainability Summit in New Orleans. Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Committee Chair Marty Woolridge sat on the panel with Missouri farmer and U.S. Farmers and Rancher Alliance member Chris Chin. The topic for this discussion was how farmers and ranchers use the latest technology to make their farm sustainable. Chin says farmers are almost always the first to adopt new technology if it helps make the farm more efficient.
So on our farm, we're always looking at passing that farm on to the next generation. And so being able to use the cutting edge technology that is out there is vital to our farm staying competitive, staying in business, and being sustainable.
I'm raising my son on the farm. He may not want to be a farmer. He may not want to be a rancher. I hope that he does. If he does, he'll be the 5th generation to work on our place. And if I'm not making the right decisions today for the natural resources that we have, and if I'm not making the right decisions today to be a good businessman as I'm being a cattleman at the same time, it won't be there for him to have that opportunity for the future, and it'll be one less farmer if I go out, be one less farmer that's putting that safe, reliable, plentiful product in front of the American public.
The Global Sustainability Summit is organized by the Food Marketing Institute. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll show you how young people are helping following the flood of 2016. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.